I had a close friend ask me, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given? And I thought about it for a second, and it just kept bringing me back to a conversation that we've had multiple times. You told me to be a skeptic, to have a mind of your own, to go figure out things for yourself, form your own opinion. And ever since you told me that, I always think about it, and I started to notice how few people do this nowadays. And you told me a name for this kind of thing.
Called a drifter. Yeah. If you go through life, you know, if the normal people you talk to, if you went and asked 10 of your friends about a certain topic, they're going to give you the answer typically, I would say, almost 10 out of 10 of them of whatever they heard, right? They read something or they heard something. But a lot of that is just an illusion. You know, that's kind of going through the motions. And you don't have to worry about this in every conversation that comes up. If it's not material, it's not important. But on important things, which kind of tell you what's going on in the world, it's important that you have to go do your own research. And where I learned this from is I'm a Christian. And when I came to Christianity and I gave my life to Christ on April 26, 2004, you know, someone told me something that had stuck with me for, you know, and really helped my walk with God was you can't listen and believe what a man tells you. You have to, the word has to come alive and the word has to tell you what's going on, because a man is a man, but God's word is indefensible. And so it really made me understand that, hey, to really understand something that is important to you, you have to go put the work in to understand it. And listen, it's super confusing in today's world because you have stuff coming at you from everywhere, but it's still, it doesn't, if you're not doing these things, you're probably living in an alternative reality that is very far removed from the truth, just because you're operating based on, we call it propaganda in the marketing world. It's propaganda. So knowing that the propaganda is everywhere on both sides, in businesses to consumers, everybody's trying to influence or persuade someone else. So there's no getting around it. If you really want to live a fulfilling life, I think, because a life that's based on real truth and what's going on, so you can contribute to society in the way that you can benefit us, the collective the most, you have to know what's going on. You can't just be one of these people that go for a ride, because you're going to get after being a drifter for a certain amount of time. What happens is you get into, they call it a hypnotic rhythm. And this hypnotic rhythm, basically you're like a zombie. You're think about your life. Because I do this, I try to reconcile this all the time myself. Am I going through the motions? Am I getting up with no thought? And basically one day is a repeat of the day before, of the day before, of the day. If that's the case, you're drifting. You need a change. You got to put the brakes on. And after you drift for so long, you go into this rhythm. And the only way to break that rhythm is if you meet a road and it's a crossroads and no options are good. And you have to really reflect and say, what am I doing? Where am I going? How the hell did I get here? You can break that trance. But if you don't meet any of those things, you'll get to the end of your life and look back and say, God dang it, what the hell just happened to me? And so you have to know what's going on. You have to, and to do that, you have to do the work. You have to do the research. You have to do the reading. You have to be learning. Because remember, everybody from every side is trying to persuade you with something that it benefits them. It doesn't necessarily benefit you, but they paint it in a picture that it will benefit you. The only way to go uncover that is you got to go do the work. It's a pain in the ass. Sometimes it's time consuming, but at least you wake up and know that your feet are on solid ground instead of being, out in quicksand somewhere where you're not going to know what hit you when it did. If something's going to hit me, I know it's coming. So,
Well, I think this is something very, especially in today's world altogether, like complacency. And I think we talked about a little bit of this with being settling with good. And I think a lot of times these drifters are looking almost around their immediate, saying, yeah, everything's okay. I'll keep going day to day. And I think with the world, like even the American Revolution started kind of with this whole complacency, how, Britain was controlling all of the money, but their life was still pretty good. And it wasn't until like Thomas Paine came and wrote Common Sense and kind of woke everybody up. Yep. And I think that's kind of what needs to happen, is that people are almost just kind of satisfied with what's going on, and they're just going with a day-to-day, and they're like, oh, yeah, I hear about that nonsense over there, but it doesn't really bother me right now. And it's until it gets in your face and it's growing more and more prevalent, that you actually have to do something. And at that point, it might be too late. So it's really, I think, to what you're saying too, it's time to kind of wake up. If you see yourself in that hypnotic state as a drifter, take a good look in the mirror and start making moves to try to understand. Like, we're not telling you one way or the other to go. We just want you to go towards logic, towards looking at it, towards finding the answers yourself, and settling to see what's the best.
Yeah, we're in this culture war thing also right now. And what happens is it's easier sometimes just to figure out the consensus amongst your peers. What do they think? And then you just kind of roll along for the punches. And, Shannon, you're in this younger generation. I'm a Gen Xer. You're a millennial or Gen Z?
Gen Z.
Gen Z. So, yeah, the group think, it really wasn't a thing back when I was younger, but it's a real thing now, being attached to a certain ideology, a certain political party, a certain group of marginalized people. Like, dude, it's really become a problem, I think. And these kids, they don't realize what they're doing, but they're digging their grave at the end of the day. Instead of them waking up and thinking for themselves, they're just jumping on the bandwagon.
And this is what I was going to say. It's easy to get stuck in a bubble. That's how I kind of think of it, as a bubble. Mm-hmm. You're surrounded by a certain amount of things. You're only seeing a certain kind of thing all of the time. Think about it. A social media algorithm. It's feeding you what you're already consuming, what you're already liking. You're only seeing half or less than half of what is actually going on throughout the world, throughout day to day. And so it's easy to get caught up in a bubble, and it's hard to burst out of it. So I think that that's really important. And going back to just being a skeptic, having a mind of your own, when you start thinking about that, you start to realize how much even just your social media feeds can change. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a really important piece of advice for a young person. It doesn't matter what you believe, what you resonate with. Just always think, do I truly think this for myself? Or am I just saying this because I'm going along with what others say that are similar to me?
Yeah, so it's, we've had quite a bit of controversy over the last several years. A good exercise for people to do to figure out where you are in this truth or delusional kind of timeline is go look back on the people that you followed or believed. And there's a lot of, it's been a crazy kind of 4 or 5 years. So, and go look at the people that you follow, how many times were they wrong about what they told us, and why were they wrong in the first place? And then you start to logically see what we're saying is that, yeah, these people, I like them. All my friends like them, but shit, they lied here, they lied here, they lied here, they lied here, they lied here. Maybe I shouldn't be paying attention to them. And I wonder if my friends know about this. I wonder if my friends know that this is the way things happen. So, that's something that people can actually do to go figure this out and figure out what bucket. Are you in the drifter bucket, or are you in the, living with your 10 toes down, palms up, and you know what the heck's going on? That's a great test that people could do. And it'll surprise the heck out of some people. I know it surprised me. As I started this journey of really wanting to understand truth, man, my feelings got hurt a lot of times because it was like, damn, dude, I got duped time after time after time after time. Shawn, this is, what they're saying is not what they're doing. And so, listen, it's going to be humbling probably to some people, because it's like you're going to feel like a total idiot because you were on the wrong side of history. You weren't on the right side of history. And listen, I'd for my kids, for my legacy, I want to do what's right at the end of the day, and I want to be on the right side of history, not because it was connected to a certain group or a certain political party, just because in God's eyes, that's what we're supposed to do here while we're living as a Christian. I
think people, like, humanity-wise, they always want to be good. They always, not just so be on the right or the wrong side, but they want to be on the side that's good. That's right. So where do people go? Like, again, there's a lot of mistrust almost everywhere you go. So where do you go to find the resources for truth? Like, what kind of resources do you use to kind of help that? And I think that'll guide people to where what they could do to take those steps to try to understand the right way to be, or, what is a good person.
So the list is pretty long. So I think for the people listening, the best thing to do, in the description in our YouTube, in the video, we can make a
blog post about this too, and we'll add that.
And then we'll add, the people on each channel that I follow that, listen, have been vetted, that are speaking the truth. Some of them are affiliated with one side, some of them are affiliated with the other side, but So we can post a link of Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts, YouTube channels where you can go to figure out what the hell's really going on, man. And, you know,
I think that'd be really useful.
Yeah, I think so too. I've done the research, so we can just put a cheat sheet up there.
Perfect.